Hello. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Westfield Center, Ohio. I am Reverend Sam E. Byrd. Welcome. Today we will start with a call to worship, River Call by Banish Mishra. Between rocking the boat and sitting down, between stirring things up and peaceably going along, we find ourselves here in community. Each called from many different journeys, many different life paths, onto this river road. Some are here because the rocking of the boat has been too much. Some of us are here because there's too much uncertainty, too much pain. Some are here with questions about where the boat is going, how best to steer it, where the journey ends. Others are here as lovers of the journey, lovers of life itself. Here in front, beside, behind, each a passenger, each a captain. Doing the best we can. Rest here in your boat. With me, the river calls. Listen to how I flow, the sound of life coursing all around you. Let the current hold you. Let the current guide you. The river that gently flows through your soul whispers, "Come, let us worship." Today's reading is Aristotle by Billy Collins. This is the beginning. Almost anything can happen. This is where you find the creation of light, a fish wiggling onto land. The first word of paradise lost on an empty page. Think of an egg, the letter A. A woman ironing on a bare stage as the heavy curtain rises. This is the very beginning. The first-person narrator introduces himself, tells us about his lineage. The mezzo-soprano stands in his wings. Here the climbers are studying a map or pulling on their long woolen socks. This is early on, years before the ark, dawn. The profile of an animal is being smeared on the wall of the cave. And you have not yet learned to crawl. This is the opening, the gambit. A pawn moving forward an inch. This is your first night with her, your first night without her. This is the first part, where the wheels begin to turn, where the elevator begins its ascent, before the doors lurch apart. This is the middle. Things have had time to get complicated. Messy, really. Nothing is simple anymore. Cities have sprouted up along the rivers, teeming with people at cross purposes, a million schemes, a million wild looks. Disappointment unshoulders his knapsack here and pitches his ragged tent. This is the sticky part, where the plot congeals, where the action suddenly reverses or swerves off in an outrageous direction. Here the narrator devotes a long paragraph to why Miriam does not want Edward's child. Someone hides a letter under a pillow. Here the aria rises to a pitch, a song of betrayal, salted with revenge. And the climbing party is stuck on a ledge halfway up the mountain. This is the bridge, the painful modulation. This is the thick of things. So much is crowded into the middle. The guitars of Spain, piles of ripe avocados, Russian uniforms, noisy parties, lakeside kisses, arguments heard through the wall. Too much to name, too much to think about. And this is the end. The car running out of road, the river losing its name in an ocean, the long nose of the photographed horse touching the white electronic line. This is the colophon, the last elephant in the parade, the empty wheelchair, and pigeons floating down in the evening. Here is the stage littered with bodies. Their narrator leads the characters to their cells, and the climbers are in their graves. It is me hitting the period and you closing the book. It is Sylvia Plath in the kitchen, and St. Clement with an anchor around his neck. This is the final bit, thinning away to nothing. This is the end, according to Aristotle. What we have all been waiting for, when everything comes down to. The destination we cannot help imagining. A streak of light in the sky, a hat on a peg, and outside the cabin, falling leaves. A moment of meditation. Lead us this day on a crooked path. We lose so much when we take the direct route, for the crooked path also leads us home. And now, today's sermon, the beginning, the middle, and the end. The beginning. We all have new beginnings in our life. The first day at a new job. The first day since leaving a particularly hard job. The first date with someone we like. The first day of freedom from that toxic relationship. The first day on your recovery from COVID-19. The first day out after shelter at home. The beginning is so filled with emotion. Fear, anxiety, excitement at what is to come. Will I be good at this new job? Will middle school math be harder than fifth grade math? Does this new church mesh with my beliefs? Did I make the right decision about which college to attend? Will I be a good parent? Do I really want to marry this person? Do I want to venture back out into my community, my school, my job? So many questions and wonderings about what will happen. As soon as those questions and wonderings stop being about the future and quickly become the present. Thinking about what my life will be like a year from now is an important thing to ponder. But a year is a long time and must be lived one day at a time. And still, if we do not take this time to be present in the moment, we might wake up one day having floated through that time and unhappy as a result. If we are always looking to the future, we miss the present that is right in front of us. This is where mindfulness can ground us in the moment. In his book, The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching, Thich Nhat Hanh writes about the common misunderstandings about Buddha. He writes that it is true that Buddha taught the truth of suffering, but he also taught the truth of dwelling happily in things as they are. So yes, life is suffering, and that is what unites us, but he also calls us to acknowledge our happiness. Thich Nhat Hanh also writes about our happiness when there is an absence of suffering and our need to embrace it. He uses the illustration of a toothache and the suffering we feel when our tooth is in pain. He notes the feeling of relief when the suffering ends, and how quickly we forgot how that suffering felt. I often think about the suffering involved in beginnings. Often enough, there are periods of adjustment as we work out all the kinks of a new experience. Starting something new is sure to bring feelings of frustration and difficulty. But it is also sure to bring moments of joy and satisfaction as we grow from those mistakes we make. The beginning can be scary, but by remaining mindful of the present, it can bring about great growth. According to Buddhist psychology, we are always giving our attention to something. If we practice right mindfulness, we allow ourselves to dwell solely on the present moment. This means that regardless of the twists and turns to come, we are prepared because we are grounded in the present. I never had much of an imagination to think of new worlds all by my own, but I often find myself in the storylines of Tarzan and Roy Rogers. Growing up, I envisioned my life through the eyes of Tarzan, flying through the trees on vines, talking to the animals, swimming in the water with crocodiles. I thought about being Roy Rogers, wearing a mask, riding Trigger, and having a Native American as my best friend. Hi-ho, Silver! Yes, I know this sounds strange, but it is true. And I saw the holy in many of these places, whether it was with Tarzan in Africa or Roy Rogers in the Wild West. There is a scene in the film Pocahontas that replays in my mind often enough and speaks to the ebbs and flows of life and the constancy of change. In the song Just Around the River Bend, Pocahontas sings, "The funny thing about rivers is you can't step in the same river twice. The water's always changing, always flowing." I never really thought about that. Indeed, we are always changing, always flowing. There is this sense of connection between streams and rivers and oceans that represents our experiences of this life. The beginning is a fleeting moment that morphs and flows quickly into something similar but altogether different, then returns now and again as a familiar stream. And by standing in the stream, we often must fight against the current. It is a different experience to stand in the stream than it is to get in a boat or swim with the current. And sometimes in my life, I have chosen to stand in that stream. The middle. I feel that right now we are in the middle of everything. We are in the middle of staying at home with kids, all day, every day. We are in the middle of being away from loved ones. My mom is in assisted living, and I go to visit her every few days. I fill her bird feeders because she loves to watch all the different ones that visit her. We talk through the window. I cannot hug her. I cannot give her a kiss. I have some exciting news I want to share with her, but want to do it in person when we can sit down together. I guess it will have to wait. We are in the middle of not being able to visit our children or grandchildren. I know I miss mine very much, and they miss me. They miss their Poppy. We are in the middle of not being able to go to our jobs, or of losing our jobs, or having jobs as first responders that require us to work insane hours to help those who are suffering with COVID-19. We are in the middle of not knowing how long social distancing will last, or perhaps this is a new normal from now on. In this crazy time, our lives are changing. We are now journeying into the thick of it. Like a runner or a bicycler, we have made it to almost the top of a very steep and difficult hill. But as we all know too well, many others lie ahead. This is our life. But it is not a new life. It is just another leg of the journey of our lives. It is a new page, but not a different book. The end. The river losing its name in an ocean, the Ohio River to the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico. You cannot step in the same river twice. Life is always changing and flowing. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclite said change is the only constant in life. It seems that these are the things we are told when things are going particularly bad. Oftentimes, when people die or tragedy strikes, we are particularly reminded by well-meaning friends that change is a good thing and that the end is really the beginning. Well, that may be so, but change hurts, and so do endings. It is hard to say goodbye to the people we love and care about, and it's especially difficult if we do not have the chance to say goodbye. This seems to be happening so often right now in this tragic time. It is difficult to be unable to have a funeral for them. It is hard to decide that there has been enough suffering, and it is hard to say goodbye. And yes, we know that every new beginning comes from an ending. We know that life will go on, and we will laugh again, and smile again, and keep going. And it is in those moments of ending that we must give thanks for what has happened. Our society is focused on what is coming next, and that we rarely pause long enough to reflect on the past and the present. We are quick to jump to the next things on our to-do list, and the next errand to run. I wonder what we lose because of this automatic tumble into the future. We do not do endings well. I often think about this when I learn of people who have died young. Oftentimes people will say that the person would not want us to be sad. They would not want us to cry about their death. And every time I think to myself, just for the record, I want people to cry when I'm gone. I want them to be sad that I died. It might sound harsh, but it's true. Because in my heart, I know that if I have lived my life the way I strive to, it will matter when I'm gone. I'm reminded of a poem by Chief Tecumseh of the Shawnee Nation. So, live your life that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Trouble no one about their religion. Respect others in their view, and demand that they respect yours. Love your life. Perfect your life. Beautify all things in your life. Seek to make your life long and its purpose in the service of your people. Prepare a noble death and song for the day when you go over the great divide. Always give a word or a sign of salute when meeting or passing a friend, even a stranger when in a lonely place. Show respect to all people and grovel to none. When you arise in the morning, give thanks for the food and for the joy of living. If you see no reason for giving thanks, the fault lies only in yourself. Abuse no one and no thing, for abuse turns the wise ones to fools and robs the spirit of its vision. And when it comes your time to die, be not like those whose hearts are filled with the fear of death, so that when their time comes they weep and pray for a little more time to live their lives over again in a different way. Sing your death song and die like a hero going home. There is a saying that is quite common right now, especially amongst teenagers. Like most things these days, it comes complete with rubber-sized bracelets in neon colors and sparkly t-shirts adorned with 4 letters, Y period, O period, L period, O period. And when I saw this, I texted my friend's daughter, what does YOLO stand for? This happens often enough, apparently. I'm not as cool as I thought I was. She wrote back, it stands for You Only Live Once. UOLO. You only live once. Now, as a minister, I tried to restrain my thoughts on what this meant for my friend's daughter and others theologically. What does she believe about the end of life, or endings in general? Does she reject the idea of reincarnation? Is this a reflection of her humanist point of view? No, Sam, it's just a t-shirt. But I do think it is more than that. I think it is an embodiment of this Tecumseh poem, and it is a cousin to the idea of Buddhist right mindfulness. It is a bold statement that the present moment is worthy of our attention. This moment, whether beginning or middle or end, matters. If this moment is a beginning for you, filled with eagerness and fear, I wish you blessings for your journey. If you are in the thick of it, stuck on a ledge halfway up the mountain or coming down the other side, I wish you blessings for your journey. And if you are at the end, making your way downstream to the ocean, I wish you blessings for your journey, with knowledge that a new leg of the journey awaits. May we journey together now and always. Amen. Blessed be. Namaste. In our closing words today, blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey. Peace and love today, tomorrow, and always. Thank you for joining us today.